wanna talk? So let's talk. Yeah. Talk. You wanna talk? You gotta talk, you need to talk. News talk.
I talk, you talk to Solomon. I talk, you talk to Solomon. Yeah, let's talk to Solomon. Talk to Solomon.
You gotta talk, you wanna talk.
Welcome, my friends. It's Talk to Solomon time. That's me, Stan Solomon, my co-host.
Chief Steve.
And my other co-host from parts way off yonder, Brent Johnson. Brent, you with us?
Here you go. Oh, that's it. Brent Johnson. Yes, I'm with you. All the time, Stan.
All right, now, our guest this half hour is General Jim Hutchens, who is going to talk to us about another Muslim menace. Now, the UN has recognized, as you mentioned last half hour, Brent, the official observer status of the PLO, the Palestine Liberation Organization, or whatever they might be calling themselves these days. General Hutchens, how are you, sir?
Doing well, Stan.
Always a pleasure to have you with us. Let me ask you, General, what is the significance of the latest action by the United Nations?
Well, I think it's basically to give the Palestinians some hype and a boost in their PR. As far as the facts on the ground, it doesn't change anything. I think it unifies some of the international anti-Semitism and gives them more vocal more vocal impetus or potency for what their position is. I think it's, but for all practical purposes, it doesn't mean a thing.
Now, let me ask you this, General, real quick, in what you're saying. Should we expect Hamas, as the quote-unquote legitimate rulers of Gaza, to be given a similar status here shortly?
Well, you would expect that, I guess, but you know, the Palestinians are divided. I think it's a joke to think that they have a united leadership and that's going to move things forward. Hamas, I think they got on board just in the last day or two to support Abbas in his bid before the UN. But you know, it's this thing. Look, this thing will be ended not by diplomacy, not by the UN. It'll be ended by war. And I think it's just a matter of time before Israel has to go after Hamas in the south, Hezbollah in the north, Iran in the east. All of Israel's wars have been imposed ceasefires at the end. That can't go on. And I think the fact that the Hamas sent missiles into Tel Aviv and Jerusalem is an indication of it, because Israel's wise enough to see that's a preview of coming attractions.
All right.
And I think.
I'm sorry, Steve, you have a comment?
Well, yes, we know that the United Nations backs dictatorships. That's known now. And so, but like the general said, they're being pushed back into a corner. They're going to be left with no options at all. There's no diplomatic options with the Islamics, because their only mission is to eradicate the non-Islamists. There's no getting along. There's no treaties. There's no nothing else. So how can you possibly have some type of a negotiation with that? You can't. Only thing you can negotiate is how many days before they kill you, if that's even possible. Mm-hmm. So they're going to push Israel to the brink, and Israel's going to have to respond if they want to stay alive.
Yeah, there's no deterrence to the jihadists.
I've been working as an official envoy of one of the indigenous peoples in the South Pacific, and so I've come to some information about UN observer status and what it means. In the first place, Hamas could not be granted observer status. Gaza could, but not Hamas. Observer status would go toward an entity that it's a step toward recognition as an independent state, essentially. It's a step toward that type of recognition. So the idea that the UN has granted the Palestinians observer status essentially means that they've gone from being a non-entity to being some kind of recognized entity, presumably on the way toward recognized statehood. Okay, and for that reason, I think it probably has certain serious significance politically. I don't know about practically. The general may be right about not having practical significance. But politically, it has a great deal of significance because observer status means that the Palestinians are now recognized as an actual body politic, no longer just a loose association of people. That they're going to build on that politically quite a bit. But Hamas is simply an organization. Okay, and as an organization, it would not be granted observer status. Gaza could be, but not Hamas.
But if Gaza is granted any recognition, it would be Hamas that would exercise and execute that recognition.
The representative, yeah.
All right, General, let's go back to you.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that. I think that basically this is an exchange here that's not going to mean anything. I think it's we've been to the UN. Other countries have been to UN. The UN is totally against Israel. The UN is never going to give Israel a fair shake, and it's going to uphold, as the other brother mentioned, all the dictators. So Israel just has to think about their own survival, and they're damned if they do, and they're damned if they don't. But they're what they do, they're doing because their survival is at stake, and that's. And if you tell a jihadist his survival is at stake, he glories in that. He has a death wish, and he wants to bring death not only to himself and be a martyr, but to everybody else. That's a part of his religious thinking, and. So I don't think it makes a hill of beans difference as to what has actually happened there.
All right, let me ask you this question, General, and then we'll get the Chief in on this. Israel gave up control of Gaza by, I think it was Sharon at the time, Ariel Sharon, on the concept that they were being called occupiers. They were being told that they were whatever, wrong, bad, mean. So they said, all right, we will leave all of these facilities, all of these assets, and we will give the Palestinian people in Gaza autonomy. They can run their own affairs, and we'll simply control our border with them. And promptly, what happened is the strong-arm tactics of Hamas did not win in a discussion. They went around and killed all Palestinians with whom they disagreed. All members of Al-Fatah, all members of the PLO, all members of any group that didn't go along with them. And then they had a vote and said, all right, everybody, vote for whoever you want, but if you don't vote for us, we'll kill you. And that's how they became the government. Am I close there?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Election doesn't determine democracy. Election just determines who's got the most power, who's got the most votes. And, their threat to their own community, the only Palestinian community, determined that they were going to get it. It didn't produce a democracy. That's a misnomer.
Well, beyond a misnomer, I believe that what took place after Israel withdrew had nothing to do with Israel. I mean, they weren't fighting with Israel. They were fighting with each other. And I saw the videos of Palestinians being machine gunned by other Palestinians, if you will, and that's how they settled their disagreement.
Well, it should have proved the lie. It should have proved the lie of the land for peace notion. That's not what the Palestinians are talking about when they say remove the occupation. They're talking about the occupation of the entire borders of what is considered modern Israel. That's the occupation, and they want to replace that with a Palestinian rule, a Palestinian state upon the present modern state of Israel. That's what they're talking about when they're talking about the occupation. So I think I think Israel's becoming more and more aware of this. There were 70% of the Israelis that wanted to keep going into Gaza with a military incursion, And I think the Israelis as a whole are beginning to wake up to there is no such thing as land for peace. It's not going to happen.
Well, there's no such thing as an agreement between Jews and Muslims, because Muslims, by their very teachings, don't believe they have to honor any agreements with Jews. Is that right?
Absolutely. Absolutely right. The notion of a hudna, that the Palestinians and leaders in Hamas they've declared a hudna, and a hudna is simply a temporary ceasefire while we regroup, rearm, resupply ourselves. That's all that is. It means absolutely nothing. It means we're coming at you again, and as we know, arms are flowing in from Iran through the Sinai into Hamas. So this is just a postponement of the inevitable, and the inevitable is what I see as a colossal conflict between the jihadists and with Israel.
All right, let's get Brent in here, because Brent has some different thoughts here. Brent?
Well, I object to your characterization, and you're leading the general to support characterization that Hamas got in simply because a bunch of Hamas military killed everybody who was in opposition to them, and therefore it says if you don't vote for us, you're not going to. I object to that characterization simply because it's your own inference. It is not based on actual evidence. It is not. Yes, you've seen some videos. That doesn't mean that your characterization is accurate. It's a journalist. Okay, I object to that particular characterization. I have to assume that Hamas were elected, just like most people assume that Obama was elected, without proof that there was fraud in the election. And so that's my comment about that. Putting that aside, however, I really do think that the recognition by the UN, by the way, the UN is the one that installed Israel where it is. Not to forget that the UN actually is the one that placed Israel in the place that it is currently located way back when. But I think what Steve said about the UN is absolutely correct. The UN is a purely socialistic organization of non-elected individuals who basically want to rule the world and do it, like tin horn dictators. Having said that, the recognition of the Palestinians is not an insignificant thing. It is. There's going to be a lot of political. There's going to be a lot of playing politics on this. I think you're going to see that this is going to be used as a springboard. And I don't know what the practical considerations are, in all honesty. I don't think on the ground necessarily it has any practical immediate effect. But don't underestimate the effect of international, and in this case, Middle East politics, and how it's going to be used, this recognition. I think that you do so, we all do so, at our own peril. To say, it's not going to be anything real, it's not going to mean anything. I think that would be naive at best, and there could be some catastrophic results.
I think you are correct. I think it has a great deal of significance, and I think it is a finger in the face of all Jews, and certainly all Israelis. But let's get the chief in here.
Well, Stan, one fact that's become obvious to me is that Muslims are not happy unless they're murdering somebody. I'll be right now, the statistics are that they're murdering somebody every 5 minutes somewhere around the world. But they also seem just as happy to be murdering each other as they do to murder the infidel. So hopefully, I believe the general's right, there's going to be a war. Hopefully they will have a war between themselves before they involve Israel. But I see three questions coming, and one is who'll shoot first, who'll shoot the most, what will Obama do if Israel gets involved in the conflict?
Well, that's an interesting question. Let's go back to the general. General, if Israel were to be attacked, or if Israel were to attack in response to what they perceive to be a threat to their very existence, what do you think the United States would do under President Obama?
That remains to be seen. I really don't know, and I'm not sure that he would know at this point. But I tell you, I view this from the basis of what the Scripture says concerning Israel and concerning its enemies. And for example, in Zechariah 12, God says, I'm going to make Jerusalem a cup that sends all the surrounding peoples reeling. and that I'm going to make them an immovable rock, and anybody that tries to move them will harm themselves. And then he says, I'm going to make the leaders of Judah like a fire pot and a wood pile, like a blazing torch among sheaves. And they will consume right and left all the surrounding peoples, and Jerusalem will remain intact. Now, I don't think there's any time in history where that's ever been fulfilled. I think that's yet to come. And I think we're seeing the stage set for that today. I screen this all through what my understanding of the Scriptures. And I think that because God's going to have the last word on this.
By the way, it was announced today that Abbas, the leader of the Palestinian organization that was recognized by the United Nations as official observers, said that he was naming Jerusalem as the eternal capital of the Palestinian state. You heard that?
I did hear that. That's right.
Now, do you think that language was specifically to say that the scripture of the Old Testament is without merit, and that these people were basically taking on God?
Absolutely. I mean, the Palestinians have a revisionist history of Israel. I think it's really significant. If you would really ask, the questions as to what are they really standing for, and where did they come from? Who was the leader of the Palestinians before Yasser Arafat? That region was a region. It's never been a state. It's been a region since it was under the Romans, and the last ones to occupy it all was the Ottoman Empire. This is absurd that there is a Palestinian history from which to draw on. Marcy, you may have heard him say too at his inaugural that the future capital of Egypt is going to be Jerusalem. I mean, this event that took place in the UN just emboldened the Palestinians to say what Abbas said with regard to Jerusalem. But that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. There would have to be the annihilation of Israel, all of Israel, for that would happen.
I know that there was someone called the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, who was a Muslim, who worked with the Nazis, who then afterwards worked to create this whole movement that didn't exist prior to that, and this claim of a quote-unquote Palestinian people.
Yeah. Well, they're Arabs. They've always been Arabs. They speak Arabic, and their religion is Islam. They lived in that region. There are more Palestinians that live in Jordan from that region than there are in Gaza and the West Bank. I mean, and that's always been a threat to King Abdullah.
Well, he threw them out at one time, didn't he?
He did throw them out. But there was one time when both Sharon and Arafat said, Jordan is Palestine. Jordan is Palestine. And then Arafat tried to cash in on that, and he was going to take over. If I'm not mistaken, I think King Hussein offered Arafat to be the prime minister of Jordan, and he'd be the king. And Arafat said, no, I want it all. And then the Black September took place, and there were some 10,000 plus Palestinians that were killed. And so Arafat takes his entourage to Lebanon and proceeds to trash Lebanon. So, I really don't have much sympathy for this revisionist history that the Palestinians are trying to pass off on us. I mean, they've been trying to say that the Temple Mount was never Israel. They're trying to destroy all the artifacts beneath the Temple Mount, to destroy any evidence of Israel being there. It's a total disregard for the Hebrew Scriptures.
Brent?
No question about that.
Brent, you have a comment?
No, actually, at this point, I'm listening with fascination at the general's analysis, and I I think this is one thing the general said a few minutes back. This is an area of the world that is never going to, maybe you said that, Stan, never going to be resolved peacefully. Absolutely. It's never going to be a lion lying down with a lamb in this part of the world, because the differences are so fundamental that I can't see any reconciliation. One thing I do, however, believe in, Steve, you said, I think, that you could see no negotiation. There has been. As an example, the last guest you had on was talking about how Syria under Assad would never attack Israel. And Egypt under Mubarak, would never attack Israel. There have been periods in which, I don't know if you would call it peace per se, but there have been periods where there's clearly an agreement between the various states in the region to leave each other mostly alone. And I think that's probably the best that you can hope for in that part of the world, where we sit down and we don't light the fuses.
Well, that's
that
doesn't
necessarily mean we're going to be friends, but
there's an old saying, sometimes they hold hands to keep from killing each other. General?
I can tell you this. On my last trip to Israel, I had contact with members of the IDF, Israel Defense Forces, or Mossad, that's their CIA, Shin Bet, that's their FBI. And to a person, not one of them believed that there would ever be peace with the Palestinians. But they said, here's what we're going to do, and we've done it, and we'll continue to do it. And this is the terminology they use. We can contain and manage the conflict. That's what they're doing as we speak, and that's what they believe that they'll do in the future. I asked one Air Force general, I said, look, these people are amassing themselves against you on at least 3 fronts. And I said, you're going to have to fight sooner or later. He says, yeah, we know that. I said, can you win? He paused. He said, yes, we'll win, but we'll take horrific casualties. So I think that's where they're looking at, the decision maker, the intelligence people, evaluate the intelligence. That's where they have no hope for peace with the Palestinians. And what you hear the Prime Minister and the other leaders saying, they have to say that. It's part of the diplomatic dance that goes on. They have to say that. But the people who are making the decisions on how Israel will handle this in the future, they're doing that through the screen of their own survival. And I think that's the way they'll survive.
General, thank you so much for your contributions. You've helped to enlighten us. We appreciate your time. We'll look forward to having you back, sir.
Great. Thank you very much.
Folks, stay tuned. Dr. Alan Keyes will join us with more on Talk to Solomon.
Hello. Pretty good. How's it look? Hello? Can you see me?
I like to eat. You like to eat? We all do. And usually we run to the grocery store, we run to the convenience store, or we have something in the fridge. But power's been out in parts of this country in the last few weeks. We don't know what's going to come down the pike economically. Smart people are putting in food. Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves is a line of foods that you can put away that will last for a very long time. You know, they say eat what you store and store what you eat. This is great tasting stuff, healthy for you, a full line. You go to our website, cpnlive.com, and click on the button for Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves and see all the different things we have. This is good tasting food. It's reasonably priced. It will last. And it's worth its weight in gold if a problem arises. I know you don't think there's going to be anything that goes wrong. Actually, you do. This is smart. This is smart insurance. This is smart preparation. This is smart thinking. You have kids. You have a spouse. You have parents. You have dependents. You have an appetite. All those things can be addressed by a frugal but smart investment in Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves. Try them out. You will be tickled to death with the taste of them. You know what? In many cases, people start to eat this and they think, heck, This tastes better and costs less than what you're going to the grocery store to buy. cpnlive.com. Check it out. You have a computer, if you're alive today, which means you have a hard drive, which means it's going to break down. Mosey, the backup people, for thousands, for Stan, for thousands of people, for tens of thousands of people, is simply common sense. You go to cpnlive.com, click on the icon for Mosey, the backup people, and sign up. It's just a few dollars a month. Let me tell you something. We had a break-in. They stole our whole computer. You know what? When they take the computer, you can't recover anything, but we had Mosey. We had the backup. We were able to restore everything simply by buying another computer. cpnlive.com, click on the icon for Mosey, the backup people, and give yourself common sense, peace of mind, great value, the best thing you've ever done. Sooner or later, it's going to be Mosey, the backup people. Do you like being healthy? I do. In fact, this product, which I've been taking for years now, is absolutely the answer. Now, you may not believe it, but I'm actually 21, plus tax, of course. This product has 146 different healthful nutrients in it, and it's liquid, so it's bioavailable. It tastes great, and it's sugar-free. 1 ounce of Sonic Life each day will help you to maintain and enhance your health. It's a kind of a gift, well, that you'll thank your mom for, your husband for, your wife for, your kids for. Whoever you give it to, they're going to say thank you, and you are going to enjoy the benefits of having all the vitamins, all the minerals, all the nutrients your body needs in one very reasonably priced product. Just go to cpnlive.com, and everything's right there. You'll be able to read all the ingredients. The price is right there, a flat price delivered to your door anywhere in the United States of America. Sonic Life is a gift, a great gift. Give it to yourself. I do. Let me ask you a question. Do you like being sick? I have in my hand an incredible product. It's called TR10 Supercolloidal Silver. TR10 stands for a trace to the negative 10th power. The particles in this silver product are 6 to 8 angstroms, 6 to 8 10 billionths of a meter. Now listen to me. Silver has been the magic bullet for all of human existence. The Egyptians used silver instruments. We use silverware. They put silver in your teeth because nothing can grow on silver. Silver will kill anything but liberalism. I'm working on that. This product, you go to cpnlive.com, buy 1 quart of this product. It will last you for a very long time. Anytime you feel like you've been exposed to something bad, take some of this product, spray it in your mouth, or take a little bit and gargle it, swallow it. It will kill any pathogen. The average antibiotic kills 10 to 20 different pathogens. This product will kill 700 plus. Do yourself a favor, do your family a favor, do your doctor a favor. He's tired of seeing you. Get Supercolloidal Silver. Go to cpnlive.com, order the product. It's $29.95 plus shipping. I think it's $39.95 delivered any place in America right to your door. It's worth 10 times that. Check it out. If you're not 100% happy, just return it and we'll give you your money back.